those decisions, yeah. So film is good. For employment prospects, film is probably better. Excuse me, allergies. I gotta wipe my eyes. I'm allergic to New Jersey.
It's the cold.
No, it's the pollen. It's because it's warming up. This is the worst time of the year for me. When the yellow flowers, forsythia, when those are blooming, I know my head's going to explode. Anyway, back to the subject at hand.
So my last question is straight up, what do you think the value of college is?
You know, that's a tough one. In this trade, in this industry, college has never been necessary. You can get any job in the film or TV industries without a college degree. They're much more interested in tangible demonstrations of skill, which is your portfolio, and to some extent they almost prefer that you learn on the job. Different companies and different production units within companies have their own kind of internal culture and their way of doing things, and there are always slight differences from one to the next. So a kind of standardized education isn't always a plus. I think where college helps, gets you a reel. If you're going to college to study TV or film, you should spend most of your time shooting. I mean, in the broad sense, shooting, editing, writing, whatever you're going to do, but producing. Because the most important thing you take away from college is a solid portfolio. What the academic world values is not what the RTF industries value, per se. Mostly, once you're in the industry, you won't have a conversation about what your grade point average was in college. You will never be asked what your minor was. I know I say that all the time, but it's true. They won't ask you about leadership skills that you may have learned in college. Those will come in handy later when you're actually in a leadership position. So it's not wasted time. But when you're on that entry-level job interview, you don't want to talk to them about what a great leader you'd make, because that's not why they're hiring you for that job. They're much more interested in specific skills that you've acquired and your attitude toward your work. You can learn those things in college. You can learn those things in a college production environment. And I think that's one of the important things that we do, is to teach sort of attitude. One of the alums who's coming in a week or two to talk to the senior practicum is Mandy Goldberg, and she did an internship when she was a student here with the New Jersey Film and TV Commission. And every year I get an email from Dave Schoner at the Film and TV Commission, and it's literally, do you have any more students like Mandy? Well, she must have graduated 15 years ago, and he still remembers her. And what he means by, do you have any more students like Mandy, is, do you have any more students who work like she worked? Because she was, well, she's a North Jersey kid. No offense to South Jersey people in the room, but she comes to the workplace with that kind of, what do you need? I'll take care of it attitude. And that's exactly what they want to see. She's got resources intellectually. She's a good critical thinker. She's a good researcher, and she's self-motivating. And that's like the dream employee in this industry. So they can say, we need this to happen, and they need her to say, I'll make it happen. So she became a film producer. So she used those leadership skills, just not in that entry-level job. In the entry-level job, her valuable asset was that she got stuff done. And you can learn that in college. I don't think you come out of high school. Some people do come out of high school in that frame of mind, but I think most people don't.
So you mentioned leadership skills, and you mentioned specifically attitude. How do you
Yep.
think college helps you, gain or refine those skills?
I think to the extent that your particular curriculum forces you into production situations. I'm talking specifically about application to the RTF industries, because I know nothing about, if you want to be a psychologist or a chemist or whatever. I can't speak to that. But in this industry, what college can do for you is to put you in situations where you have to work cooperatively with other people toward the achievement of somebody's creative vision, not necessarily yours, but somebody's. So you develop that kind of communal attitude that makes you a good crew member. And if you're a good crew member, you will evolve into a good director or a good head of a department. And that you learn on the job. You learn how to become the leader by observing people who lead well. But I think in this industry, the most important thing a student can take away is a good set of work habits. And that includes specifically being able to work effectively and cooperatively with others. You have to lose your ego. And college is a good place to do that because there's a safety net. If you have trouble learning that, you're not going to make a mistake that ends your career in college. So it's good for that. It's a nice transitional phase, and this. You're a very different person than you were when you were 18, aren't you? With these 4 years, you make some enormous emotional and psychological changes. And it's a good environment to make those changes in a constructive way, I think. So you can both mature and build your skill set and change your outlook if it needs changing. So I think it's valuable. My biggest regret here is that for all kinds of reasons that we don't need to get into, we never developed a BFA program in RTF. We've tried, but we were unable to get the institution to support it tangibly. We would have needed to double the size or triple the size of the faculty, and we would have needed to spend several millions of dollars every year on facilities and support, staff support for one thing. We would have needed a full-time engineer and things like that. I think that would have made the program more valuable to the students in it. But I think if you look at the students that are graduating from the program, most of them have gotten what they needed to launch a career. And we have some out there who have taken that attitude and continued with it and made good success. Not taking credit for that, because I think people come into the college with a certain set of values too. They're not blank slates. So, you can encourage a direction of evolution, and that's about the most you can do. But that can have a huge impact later on. So I think the program is good for what it is. I would have liked to have turned up the heat a whole bunch, but it would have radically altered how the program is structured. We would have looked more like, say, in NYU or Temple, or Emerson. And the downside of that is a lot of students don't get invited to come. And there's some students who came into this program who, to be blunt, weren't terribly promising. And something happened to them, or some sequence of things happened to them while they were students here, where they really kind of got focused and they had the space to sort of bloom, and they blew us all away by the time they had graduated. So there have been a couple of students who were not very promising when they came in the door, who have really taken off in the 4 years they were here. And those are the kind of kids who would never get into NYU, because NYU is looking for people who've already demonstrated their potential for professional work. And so two sides of the same coin.
Thank you.
Last question?
Good. I think that was it, yeah.
Whoa, okay.
You're on.
Well, we killed an hour.
Yeah, we did. That's decent.
Good, I'm glad you think so. Are you going to do cutaways? You want to shoot him asking the questions?
That's okay.
For the other interviews, I didn't do that, so I feel
They're
like
It's
what?
it's a documentary, so it's like less.
See what